Hello YouTube, welcome to Terran Academy. In this video I'm gonna show you how to do a one versus the AI insane Terran computer. I've done the very hard mode and it wasn't too big of a challenge. I believe there were people saying how about let's do an insane, and insane is impossible because of their incomes. So in this video I'm going to do a one versus one insane computer. Take note of computer is nothing compared to real players because the AI kind of follows a pattern. They attack in only one single direction, maybe a drop here and there, but basically the strategy is very simple and it's not complicated. So what we do here is defend the first wave and then pump a lot of units. You won't be able to match the production, that would be for sure, because they have a lot of income and they can tack up, build a lot of stuff, and basically it's almost impossible. So what I'm doing here is I do 3 barracks, 1 factory build, and I'm tacking up to siege tank right away, hopefully. And I built some bunkers in front of the base, as I usually do sometimes. And if you see here, the bunkers can fend off the enemy attackers, the insane AI attackers. Even though I don't have siege mode and everything, at least it is not that easy to bridge the front door at an early stage. So you do your best to build a lot of units. You need to offset the amount of units they build. So what I'm using here is using a very typical Terran strategy, which is the siege tank. The siege tank have firepower that can blast multiple enemies and can put you to an advantage if you use them really well. And in some games back in the Starcraft 1 days, people talk about the economy of building your units, meaning for every set of units, if you can take down more amount of units opposing to your amount of units. Let's say if your unit costs 1,000 minerals and you can take down, let's say 1,500 minerals amount of units, then your units were well worth it. See how I do here is I use my siege tanks behind everything, and I kind of attack when the enemies comes over, and I keep my position. And seeing this is a fine example of what I have talked about, is having 4 marines, or I forgot 6 marines versus taking down 3 or 4 tanks. That's huge in terms of minerals. And so after the defense, I kind of set up a defense position doing exactly the same thing, and I'm going to set up a front, basically a Terran front, blocking the enemy from expanding further or doing some other things. Of course, and as I said, this won't be comparable to real human players, because human players will probably do a lot of different things when they see me only doing ground units. The key here is still for insane AI, they're building a lot of units, so make sure your tanks, bunkers are well worth it. You use them well and you defend your positions well, so you take down more units than your enemies. See the top left there? The enemies are having much more units than I do. And I've only marines and tanks, and they have multiple different tack up units, like everything, almost everything in their arsenal. So I'm trying to add my own by having medifacts. Notice here again, as I said, they cannot bridge this position that easily, even with the siege tanks. And notice how I place my siege tanks is I place them at a location where enemies couldn't see them well in the smokes. and I screw up right there, losing 2 siege tanks to nothing. So in the middle of the game I save up some energies to just scan the enemy base, so I know where they are. And knowing where your enemies are, where their forces are, is important because it allows you to set up your forces accordingly. Right now all my infantries are like gone, dead, because it was taken down by siege tank fire. And another point here is I have different bunkers at various locations. It allows my marines to just do a hideout and different things. And I see that the insane computer is doing a drop, so I immediately just unsiege my siege tanks and just go attack. And now it is a matter of who takes down the base first, but apparently the computer just ran right past me, just go back to defend the base. That's one of, I should say, this is one of the glitch the computer has. It reacts to the base being attacked, they just go back no matter how many forces they have. Normally, as a human players will just take down my SCVs and just nail my base, because I have virtually nothing in my base. All the forces are up front. At this point, you see top right, the amount of resources count for the enemy has already dropped down tremendously. They're losing forces, they're losing supplies, and this game is essentially done. From this point on, make sure you scan a lot around your base and just hunt down the rest of the enemies, and make sure you continue building different things, because the insane computer really has a lot of minerals and everything. They can rebuild easily. See that they have 4,000 minerals already, but now your forces are massing up and it's almost impossible for them to turn around or make another push. And there we go. This is the result screen showing how many forces and everything. Economy wise, of course, we are at a disadvantage. And units, you killed a lot because you win the game. The build order, I don't look at that too much. Just make sure you know your build and continue building units and everything. For grabs, as you see, there are a lot of enemy units. At that point, that's the breaking point where the siege chain took down a lot of enemies and we push forward. If you like my channel, subscribe to it. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.